Well, here we have it. Cops forced to disclose personal social media accounts or risk being fired. And personally, in a thing that is just overwhelmingly against the First Amendment here, I'm grade 7. We're going to review this little article here from law from Washington State. And but here we go. I further consent to and agree to facilitate a review of any of my social media accounts immediately upon a request by a representative of the Commission. I understand that failure to facilitate such a review when requested may result in decertification action, the declaration states. The Washington State law enforcement officers are now being required to hand over their personal social media accounts upon request or risk decertification under new substitutes in Democratic Senate Bill 5051. Little tweet about it. Law enforcement officers in the state of Washington are required to hand over, what it just said right up there, as a condition of keeping employment under RCW 43.101.095. Law enforcement officers are forced to consent to a review of all personal social media accounts immediately at request of a representative of the Commission who oversees these commissions. Failure to comply to the Commission's request may result in decertification. Due to the substitute in SB 5051, when law enforcement officers apply for certification to the Commission, the application states that the officers must consent to the release of all personal files, including access to their social media accounts. And again, we hear this: I hereby authorize and consent to the release of my personal files, including disciplinary, termination, civil or criminal investigation, or other records of information that are directly related to any certification or decertification matter before the Commission. I always have trouble with this type of stuff. The Commission, who's overseeing them? This is something that's so easy to abuse. If they don't happen to like a certain cop, we're going to look for any little thing that you might have said somewhere online and decertify you. That's really, this is such an invasion of the First Amendment. Freedom of speech. Of course, we're losing freedom left and right every day thanks to, the Democrats. Democrats and leftists don't want us to have freedom. They don't want it. Now, continues on, I further to consent to and agree to facilitate the review of any of social media accounts. Seems like that comes on, they repeated that part quite a bit. Now, in addition, the substitute in Senate Bill 5051 blocks police unions from being able to fight against the requirements on behalf of the officers. The release of information may not be delayed, limited, or precluded by any agreement or contract between the officer or the officer's union and the entity responsible for the records or information. Now they're just completely going against anything about freedom of speech. Now, the only little thing right here is, however, the substitute states that law enforcement officers are not required to provide the Commission with their login information. This declaration is yet another example of state government officials directly impeding on the constitutional rights of law enforcement officers in the state of Washington. They're already doing defunding the police and all this other bullshit, and now they're doing this, and they're having crime is going up. They're losing their officers, and they're doing this shit. These Democrats need to be slapped. Really. Now, maybe that would wake them up. The Post-Millennial reported that Seattle's Office of Police Accountability forced 6 Seattle police officers to turn over phone data, personal documents, and bank statements after investigating their attendance at the January 6th Trump rally in D.C. Now, that you cannot have a differing opinion today. And if you differ in opinion from the left, they're going to go after you. Now, Washington State legislators passed a series of reform bills that recently went into effect, which significantly limited the level of service law enforcement officers provide to the public. In other words, they're endangering the public. They know they're doing it, but they have an agenda. And it's time that the people wake up. Unfortunately, the people in Washington, the voters, have been so brainwashed to the left that they don't understand what's going on. These Democrat voters are so entrenched that Republicans are bad, and that they believe this so desperately, that Republicans are bad, that they are willing to vote for the absolute worst. They would take a dictator over a Republican. That's how much they've been brainwashed. But this isn't going to help their crime, their police, all the problems they're having. I only see it making worse. Now, what do you think? Are they going down an even worse path here? Let me know what you think. Come on over to Rumble. Watch me over there. Still on YouTube. And I'll have a good day, and I'll see you next video.